So the next session is truly global. We're talking about the EU right to repair developments. So as many of you know, the European Commission adopted a new proposal on common rules promoting the repair of goods, which will support the objectives of the European Green Deal. The proposal will make it easier and more cost-effective for people to repair as opposed to replace their goods. So we have three experts joining us today. Alexandre, giving us insights from France. Marcus Piringer, who will speak on the Austrian Repair Bonus, which is a national scheme refunding people 50% of the cost of their repairs. And from Helsinki, we have Taina Pialering, who will provide an overview of the broader EU landscape of repair-focused reforms. So over to you, Alexandre. Thank you.
Hi, so different. I'm not from the same company now. I'm from an association called Aircube, which is a professional federation that regroups French companies that work on circular economy. So we basically work a lot with French legislators to try to move things in the right way. I did work on the EU eco design and repairability law that's still being changed and coming through. You've maybe heard about that one, but I will mostly talk about France. So the first the first thing I want to talk about is maybe the repair bonus. So I guess it's kind of like the one in Austria, but that's very recent. That started in 2022, and basically it makes all your repairs about $20 to $30 cheaper than the usual one. So that was a very, very good idea, but there are a few execution problems that we're still solving. But the fact that a government would actually put that is great. So do the funds come from? Because it's about a 60 million euro fund. Um, in France, we have something called responsabilité élargie du producteur, which means that some manufacturer that would put on the market a device is responsible for the end of life of that device. So either that manufacturer needs to have its own collecting trucks and facilities and its own recycling facilities, or it can give that uh, problem to what they call eco-organisms, and those eco-organisms are going to collect money from the manufacturer and from every single customer. There's something called eco participation. It's usually, maybe 20 cents when you buy a phone, and they will collect all that, and they have to work with all the French actors to reduce the e-waste and treat it in the right way. So actually, that repair fund is funded by that that money that's collected from the REP and eco-organism um, stuff. So regarding that repair bonus, that kind of joins the training we were talking earlier. You can only have that repair bonus at a shop that has a label called Cali Répar. And so basically, it's like if you would go through an audit where we're going to check if you have a good accounting, if you have trained technicians, um, if you take care of the data of the customers, if there's no breach or anything. So you can go to those places and be reassured that they have been audited, and only those places are eligible for that repair bonus. And that's not only for phones, but also for all little electronics or bigger electronics, maybe fridges, washing machines, stuff like that. So you also have criterias on are the technicians working in a safe way for the technicians because they're working on live voltage, all that kind of criteria. So that was for the repair bonus. Maybe you heard about the repairability score, and I think that France is the only one that's using it for now. That's a score that's only for, I think, smartphones, TVs, lawnmowers, washing machines, and over the years, more devices are going to be added. I know someone is watching this right now, Jean Paul, and I probably forgot something, so excuse me. um, but basically, that score has you have like a evaluation that the manufacturer has to do himself. So regarding is his device easy to open up? Does the manufacturer provide spare parts? Is there a repair manual? Um, what kind of fasteners does he use, screws or glue? And all of these little elements come together and make a score out of 10. And basically, if you're in the green, I think you're over 8 out of 10. And that score is mandatory for some products in the shops. So if you come to France and you go to your local electronic shop and you want to buy some new products, you will see that sticker that says, hey, that's a repairable phone or not. And if it's not, you have a big red sticker. So that's something that's really interesting. And actually, Europe now is working on its own version out of the French version. So that was a French initiative, and we're pretty happy about that. It's not perfect, but it's already huge because we're the only ones. Um, and finally, we have two big laws that went through. They concern more the governments. But for example, they're called Loi AGEC and Rennes. Well, I guess that doesn't mean anything for you guys. But basically, one of them asks for all the products that the government has to buy. You have to have at least 20% that are from a refurbished industry. So if it's phones, computers, tables, whatever, at least 20% of everything that the government is going to buy needs to be refurbished. So not everything, mostly electronics, but that's a huge step forward because it's showing the way. And then on the AGEC law, we have some very, very interesting laws that went through, and especially one that you maybe heard about because there's actually a lawsuit against Apple right now that's going on from the association HUP because they do what we call parts pairing. So, in a nutshell, if you replace, let's say, a battery on your phone, you will get a message saying, hey, important message about your battery. This is not the original battery. You may have a problem with your phone. Please go to an Apple store. Even if you just put in another battery from another real iPhone, you're going to have that kind of message. So that happens for screens, batteries, cameras, and we're thinking for the iPhone 15, you will have that on your charge port. So that actually is illegal in one place in the world. It's France, where actually that has in the AGEC law from 2020. There's a little thing that says that's illegal. Um, so all those laws are going in the right direction. Um, I personally think it's not going fast enough, but if you compare to other places, it's already amazing. So maybe I'll let the other speakers talk, but that's basically what's happening in France right now. And I know that for 2030, they have big plans to train as many people as possible, even hardening those laws and having all companies actually buy more refurbished electronics and favorizing this refurbishing industry for all electronic products.
Thanks, Alexandre. Marcus, we'll move to you.
Yes, thank you. I will just try to share my screen. Wait a second, please. Okay, I hope you can hear me well. I just start my presentation. Okay, hello from Vienna, Austria. I'm very happy to join you here in Australia. My name is Markus Pieringer. I work for an environmental consultant agency in Vienna. We are working, our topic is like ecological lifestyles. We are working with citizens of Vienna, private people, but also we support the public sector, and we work with companies. That's mainly small and medium enterprises, and my focus is repair. I'm coordinating the repair network in Vienna, which is a association of about 140 businesses, and I'm also working on other repair projects. So my speech today will be about the repair funding in Austria, and I will just jump into it. So we had already several systems of repair funding applied in Austria. The first one was the city of Graz, which is a city of about 300,000 inhabitants. Then several federal states joined in with the system. And in the year 2020, Vienna started. In Vienna, it was the first time it was a different type of repair funding because it was bulk. I'll talk about this. We have already different systems of funding. And then on the 21st of April in 2022, a national fundings program has started. So all the other programs stopped because there was a national system. And just to make it clear, the funding in the different federal stage was not continuously because there was, some sort of budget. And when the budget has been spent, the funding stopped, and then there had to be a new budget decided. So my example of a federal system is the one of Upper Austria because we have a good documentation about it. So just to explain the system, it only focused on large and small household electrical appliances. So no other repairs were funded. 50% of the costs were funded up to a maximum of 100 euros and each calendar year. And so if a repair costs, 100 euros, you get 50 euros back, or if it costs 400 euros, you still get just 100 euro back. The repair must be carried out by an authorized business, which is licensed by the repair guide. To be part of the repair guide, you mainly need a business license so that you're authorized to do the repairs. The customer has to pay the full price and gets it back later. So the customer has to submit the completed application and the invoice, and then gets the money back from the authority. The information has to be checked by the authority, and then it was paid. And there were possibilities when maybe it was a wrong item which is not covered by the fund, or you don't have the complete applications. So 9% of the cases were not funded. When there was a bachelor thesis about the repair bonus, and some data of that is that the average funding amount was 69 euros, so almost 70 euros. 40% of the people who used the repair bonus say that they would not have had the repair carried out without receiving the subsidy. 38% of the companies said that there is a noticeable increase of the number of repairs carried out, and 42 noticed a slight increase. And afterwards, so when the funding stopped, only 26% of the companies had noticed a drop of sales. So it shows that the repair funding increases the number of repairs even after the funding stopped. When we look at the devices which were repaired, I just have it in German, but I can translate the main points. So you can see that the smartphones are the most in the highest numbers being repaired. Then there were coffee machines with 18%, washing machines with 16%, and dishwashers with 15%. So these were the most repaired products. When I come now to the different funding systems, I told you that Vienna started another system. That's why. That's because there were still some hurdles for repair for the consumers, because you have to first pay the cost estimate, and this is already a hurdle because you don't know if the repair can take place or not, if it's repairable or not. And a second hurdle is all the administrative burden, because you have to apply for the funding. And the third hurdle is that you have to make financial advances. So if you first have to pay the full price, and then maybe you get the money back. And so the Viennese system changed this. So one difference was that all kinds of devices represented in the repair network Vienna were covered. The repair network Vienna exists since 1999, so long before the repair funding. And there are all different kinds of companies which must be repair specialists to be part of the repair network. So we don't have like service centers of the producers in the network, and no trade companies who also do maybe a little bit of repair. Then the height, the amount of funding is the same than in the other federal system. So 50% of the costs up to 100 euros. In Vienna, also the cost estimated were covered up to 45 euros. And after the repair has been completed, a new repair voucher can be requested. So it's not limited to 100 euro per person and per year. And yeah, the repair must be carried out by a business listed in the repair network Vienna. Also, the difference is that as the repair company plays an important part, because it's a voucher system, so the money goes not to the consumer but to the company. So the repair shop has to sign a contract with the city of Vienna, and he received training for the voucher system. So when you're a consumer, you only have to download a voucher and go to the repair workshop, and everything else is done by the repair shop. So the repair bonus is already deducted from the bill, so the consumer pays just half the price, or minus 100 euro. And then the repair shop submits the voucher, and the information is checked by the authority. And this was a crucial point when we developed the system, that the money has to go back to the companies quite fast, because otherwise they would have a liquidity problem. If you have a lot of repairs and you get half of the money just 2 months later, it's a problem. So the payment was paid back within 2 weeks. So there were 3 promotion periods starting from 2020 to 2021. So there were approximately 3,000 estimates funded and 35,000 repairs. The total amount of 2.1 million euros. The average funding amount was 57 euros, but I think that was with the estimates, because without the estimates, it was more or less the same. Than in Upper Austria, it was around 70 euro. And when you look at the total number of repaired items, we have a big part of mobile phones, a smaller part of other electrical household appliances, and then also bicycles, furnitures, plumbing and electrical installations and other repair services have been funded. The other repair services are, for example, textiles or shoes, or different kinds, also instruments have been funded. And then in last year, the Austrian repair bonus started. That's where all the other systems stopped. And it's very close to the Viennese system, so it's also a voucher system, but it's only for electrical appliances again. Also 50% of the costs are funded, but this time up to 200 euros, or the double. Also the costs estimated were covered up to 50%. And also after the repair has been completed, you can hand in a new voucher. The rest of the system is similar to Vienna, so also the company has to make a contract with the authority, and the authority pays back the money to the company. The total amount of funding is 130 million euros, which is quite something. It's funded by the COVID recovery fund from the European Union. So after COVID, there was money to invest it in the economy, and so there was 130 millions from this were taken for the repair funding. And the interim result from June the 19th is that 3,500 companies are taking part. Approximately 700,000 repair vouchers have been submitted, and approximately 70 million euros spent. But then in beginning of July, there was a new development. 56 companies have been suspected of fraud. So Austria decided to improve the security of the system. And so we will have another system starting in September. So at the moment, there is no possibility to get a voucher, but it will start again at September 25th. And this time, the consumer has to announce the data of the bank account when he downloads the bonus, and the customer still hands over the bonus at the repair shop, but he has to pay the entire invoice in first place, and then he gets back the money directly from the funding authority. Yeah, this is the different systems. Maybe I come to the summary and conclusion. So we have some experience for subsidies for repair since 2017. So we have different systems, each with its own advantages and disadvantages. The funding is very well received by the citizens, and I can say it's also not like a big political issue. It's not a bone of contention. I didn't hear anyone from any political party to say that repair funding is a bad idea. It's maybe the question of how do you do it. And also the experience shows that subsidies can significantly increase the demand for repairs. I made interviews with different repair workshops. So they say that now the items can be repaired that normally are too cheap to repair, because to buy a new one is more attractive and doesn't cost so much more. Also, high quality products can be repaired more into the deep, so more costly repairs can be done. And a third thing which was told to me was that many people have broken items still lying around at home, and now with the repair bonus, they think, it's a good idea, I could get it repaired. So they are reactivated from being broken. Thank you.
Thanks, Markus. That was fantastic. We've now got Taina joining us from Finland.
Hello from Helsinki. I hope I will manage to share my slides. Okay, it seems that I have some problems with in that respect.
Are you able to just talk through the slides perhaps for us, and we can maybe distribute the slides to everyone afterwards? We have had a little bit of problems with some slides, so thanks, Taina.
Okay.
Thank you. Lovely to see you.
No problem. Thank you. Lovely to see you too. Thank you very much. So hello, I'm Taina Pihlajarinne. I'm a professor at the Faculty of Law, Helsinki University, and I'm researching intellectual property rights and right to repair and circular economy issues. And thank you very much for your kind invitation. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to give a brief update on what is happening in EU right now. As you know, the EU has been active in this field during the several last years, and I will focus now on the latest development this year. So the new right to repair proposal was given in March this year. Shortly about the background of the proposal. It is based on the EU Circular Economy Action Plan, which is a part of the European Green Deal and the objective for responsible consumption and production. And also it is based on Article 114 of the Treaty of the Functioning of the EU, which obliges the EU to protect environment and consumers. There was a public consultation during last year, and this proposal was given in March this year. So this is the latest step in the series of actions relating to right to repair by EU. These so-called eco-design proposals, proposal for a directive on empowering consumers for a green transition, and also changes to data issues, for instance. But the aims of these particular proposals, I would say that the aims are twofold. Firstly, the aim is to make it easier and more cost-effective for consumers to repair as opposed to replace goods. And secondly, the aim is to create incentives for producers and sellers to develop more sustainable business models. So a proposal for a new directive was given on common rules promoting the repair of goods. And also this directive means small changes to a sale of goods directive, which regulates the consumer protection issues in the case of sale of goods. And in the case of legal guarantee, this proposal would mean that within the legal guarantee, the sellers will be required to offer repair except when it is more expensive than replacement. The current situation is that the consumer may choose between repair and replacement. This is the main rule. But according to this proposal, the seller should always repair the goods when the costs for replacements are equal or greater than the cost for repair. So the consumer would only choose replacement as a remedy when it is cheaper than repair. So this means prioritization of repair when legal guarantee is concerned. And there would be several measures beyond the legal guarantee. So there would be a right for consumers to demand repair to products from producers, but only for those products that are technically repairable. And this means that the eco-design requirements are followed. So only for those products. And this would ensure that consumers have always someone that is who is obliged to repair the product. And the producer is not, however, obliged to repair the product when it is impossible. So, for instance, it is fundamentally broken, so it's impossible to repair. The producer may subcontract the repair to fulfill its obligation to repair, and also payment can be applied. It can be free or payment can be applied. The producers will have also obligation to inform consumers about the products that they are obliged to repair. And the member states must ensure that at least one online platform is available. It is some kind of a matchmaking repair platform to connect consumers with repairers and sellers of refurbished goods. And there are certain requirements, for instance, that there must be a search function in that kind of platform. Additionally, a repairer must provide so-called the European Repair Information Form to a consumer. It is a standardized form, and it will include information about repair conditions and prices or methods of calculating the price of repair. So the aim is to increase transparency and make it easier to consumers to compare repairers and their conditions. And it's also mentioned that a European quality standard for repair services will be developed to ensure the high quality of the repair services. And there's a list for those products with repairability requirements. So these are the products that the producers must repair according to this Article 5. There are, for instance, household washing machines and household dishwashers, refrigerators, vacuum cleaners, and also mobile phones and tablets. Brief conclusions. The focus of this particular proposal is on after-sale issues, while the previous actions in EU are mainly focused on design. So there might be some kind of shift on focus of actions. And the proposal indeed might make repair more attractive for consumers. It might, on its part, lead to mainstreaming of repair. It might increase options for repair services, increase transparency of repair information, lead to more effective competition between repairers and also lower prices. And of course, this price element is essential since price is a fundamental issue when right to repair is concerned. So the producers are pushed to change their business models in two situations. Firstly, in terms of legal guarantee remedies, and secondly, in terms of products under eco-design requirements. And when the prioritization of repair under legal guarantees is concerned, since repair is obligatory for a consumer, the consumer loses the choice between repair and replacement. And this might be a good example indicating that or demonstrating that in the EU, the right to repair, the focus is not on consumer rights as such, but more on environmental concerns. And one point is also that the consumer does not have any measures to check whether the producer's argument about the cost of repair is correct. And that might be a problem. However, this might reverse the current situation where the replacement is deemed as a normal remedy. However, there is no possibility for replacement with refurbished goods. And this might be a disappointment since, of course, this kind of replacement with refurbished goods, they are very beneficial from perspective of environmental sustainability. The repair obligation beyond legal guarantee is limited in scope because it concerns only products with eco-design requirements. But I assume that the list will be further widened in the future. The proposal also leaves the sale of goods directive mainly untouched. And for instance, there's no extension to the legal guarantee, which is only 2 years. It is 2 years is the minimum legal guarantee period for the member states, and most of them have adopted only 2 years period. I think that it is very short period, and it might be, I would see it as a problem that on this part, this proposal does not tackle the problem of planned obsolescence. However, overall, I think that this proposal means steps into a right direction. However, further actions are needed to remove obstacles for repair in Europe and in EU. And these are not giant leaps, but only small steps. But I think that gradually, step by step, we will have possibility to see a true revolution of right to repair in Europe. Okay, that was all, I think, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks so much, Taina. We're now going to open up to Q&A. We've got about 10 minutes left, so I'll just hand to John, who's going to moderate the Q&A.
Thanks, Pip. There are no questions online so far, but are there any questions from the floor? Omar.
Hello, thanks. Question for Marcus and Alexandra. I'm Omar, CEO of Charitable Recycling Australia. First of all, thank you for your amazing work to make that path forward. My general question to you both is, obviously, help us with Australian governments. What was it in both of your countries that made the governments or cities or states to start funding repair after not funding repair? I mean, in Austria, it seems like it was the cities that started it. What made them change? What did you have to do to advocate? And then why did the government come on board there? In France, I think I understand it was the EPR scheme. How did you get repair funded after all of the advocating and lobbying from, let's say, brands or manufacturers or recyclers who would want to do different things? So, yeah, really some advice for Australia, please. Thank you.
Actually,
Thank you for the
I
question.
don't recall having some very, very... Oh, you go, Marcus.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, talking for Austria, I think in the beginning it always needs people who are convinced about what they're doing, and you need them like in this public sector where the decisions are made. One point that really helps is that that repair is very positively seen in the public. So people like repair, and sometimes they're just very unhappy that there is a broken item and it's just one little thing, and I have to replace the whole thing because I don't get this spare part. So people are not happy, and so it's a political positive thing to fund repair. And I think that for the national system, it was really helpful that we had already like cities or federal states who implemented a system so they could see, okay, we can maybe run it also for the whole nation. And for Austria, this COVID recovery fund was a window of opportunity. I am not sure if it would have been that easy if it was really like Austrian taxpayers' money budget. And we will see how it continues, because we now have only 130 million euros. What will happen when the fund is spent? I don't know. But at the moment, the climate is very positive.
And on our side, I think that that's pretty much also what Marcus was saying. It's a very good political move. I mean, you're going to help people have a better purchasing power because you're going to help them repair their phones. It's also very well seen right now, and most countries have obligations of reducing their CO2 emissions. So if in the country you have better repair, it's better. And I don't recall, I wasn't there at the negotiations for that particular lobbying, but I don't recall having some very, very harsh counter lobbying to that. I guess it didn't really, it wasn't any wrongdoing to anyone. And mostly we had HUP, so the same association that's doing the lawsuit against Apple, that was very present for that lobbying for that repair incentive, and also FCube, the federation which I'm part of. So we have a very good ecosystem of non-private that would go to the government to kind of help and say, okay, we should do those kind of laws. And I think we have a good lobbying process in France for the particular subject of repairing electronics.
Any other questions? Annette?
My question is for Marcus. What happens to the voucher system if the repair is unsuccessful? So if a customer has brought a device in, it wasn't able to be repaired, but the independent repairer still requires payment for the servicing that they have done, even though they were unable to repair the device in the end, does the consumer still get to claim some of that payment for service back?
So the system works that first you have to pay for the cost estimate. And so if during the cost estimate it gets clear that there is no repair possible, then only the cost estimate is funded. When the repair is not complete, then the consumer only has to pay the cost estimate. He doesn't have to pay any bill for the repair because the repair was not successful. I hope that answers the question.
Marcus, I've got a question for you, and the others can join in as well. How would you describe the understanding and the literacy of your government officials and your environment ministers and other politicians in terms of understanding the value and relevance of repair? Do government officials really get it? Do the ministers understand it? I say this because in part, in some areas, but not all, Australia is seduced by recycling as the primary solution in isolation of some of these other activities. So how would you describe the literacy or the understanding of your officials and your ministers? Any of you, if you've got a view on that, I'm interested.
I think that from the history of thinking about circular economy, it is also in Austria the case that that recycling was always the first you think about when you think about circular economy. But this already has changed. We have a circular economy action plan in Austria, which has a hierarchy of what is important for circular economy. And in the first place, there is avoidance, and this more R's. I don't know, rethink. I don't know them by heart, but so repair, refurbish, and reuse is higher from the priority than recycle. And this is a official political plan now, and we will see how it really gets into action. But I'm quite optimistic, I have to say.
Alexander, Teina, do you have a view on this in terms of, again, government officials and ministers understanding the hierarchy, understanding true circularity? Any views on that?
It's
Well, I
time
would say
to
that
be
in
better
Finland,
and better.
sorry.
You go.
Thank you. Sorry. In Finland, they have not been national actions so far. So I think that they understand the value, but I think that the problem is with this for very many legislators, national legislators in Europe, that they just wait what the EU do, and they are not very active in national level. That is my experience. But I'm very happy for those Austrian and French national initiatives, because they are definitely needed as well. The EU cannot be the only actor here.
Alexander?
Yeah, so I think in France, officials are pretty receptive to all this. Again, because it's also a good subject, I'd say, so that gives you votes. But we did have a lot of movement from the recyclers. There is still a lot of money funneled into recycling, which is necessary. But again, we have to prioritize. There's a hierarchy. A product must go through the 3 R's before going to recycling. And depending on the industry and depending who you talk to, well, that message is not perfectly clear yet, but it's a work in progress. So I think it's pretty good, but not perfect yet.
That's good. Any other questions from the floor? One more question. Yes.
Hi, Jane Teo. It's a question about repair cafes again. I know that there are many of them in both of the 3 of your countries. My question is, have they been set up, I'm talking about voluntary repair cafes, in an ad hoc manner, or is the government in your countries actually maybe funding them, whether it's in kind with real estate or actual funding of the operations?
Okay,
I
start because this time I didn't want to be breaking in someone else's talking. Okay, in Austria, it's more a private thing. So I think we have the city of Graz again, which is helping with some funds for repair cafes, and a federal state of Tyrol, which is really helping. In Vienna, we have the repair network, which is also open to DIY partners, and so we help them with publicity, but not really so much with funding. So in Austria, the officials didn't really jump on repair cafes so far.
If we can thank our friends in Europe, and much appreciated. Thank you.